Hey everybody, and welcome to Newegg TV. My name is Paul, and as you can see I have an array of components here around me, which means I get to build a computer today. That means I'm very happy. Today's build is going to be centered around the AMD A10-7850k APU that you can see right here in the front. We're pairing it up with some Radeon R9 Gamer Series memory. It runs at 2400 speed. The fast speed memory is going to improve the performance of the integrated GPU in this APU. Now this build all told together is going to cost about $750. That's with the parts list that I just looked up. Bear in mind that pricing of components can vary, so it might not always be that much, but I'll post a link to the build in the description down below. We also have one optional component in this build, and that's going to be the graphics card over here. It's an AMD Radeon R7 250 by Gigabyte. Now that I can add and set up along with the APU to set up dual graphics mode, which allows the GPU here to work with the iGPU and the APU. It's a lot of acronyms to throw at you, but it's essentially a type of crossfire, but it's called dual graphics from AMD. And in a later video, we'll be doing a bit of testing and demonstration to show the performance of the APU, the performance of the dual graphics along with the R7 250, and then the performance of, say, adding a more expensive discrete card to see what you can get as far as gaming performance. Apart from gaming, though, the system could easily be set up for a workstation and a business, possibly even an HTPC, and many other solutions. It's small form factor, so that means it's going to take up a small footprint, not use much power, and that's about all I have to say about this build. For starters, let's go ahead and take a closer look at each of the components. Our case is going to be the Corsair Obsidian Series 250D. It's a mini ITX chassis. Looks quite nice and also has ample room to fit the components here, including a standard ATX power supply. Moving on from there is the memory, which I've already mentioned briefly, but this is the AMD Radeon R9 series memory. It is a 8GB kit, and it's a 2400 speed memory. Again, the faster memory speed here is going to work with the iGPU in our APU, and that will help that iGPU perform faster and better. The APU, once again, is the A10-7850k from AMD. Their A series has been doing quite well, and it's a great option to purchase an APU, set up a system, you have graphics integrated, and then possibly give you a nice upgrade path in the future to add another graphics card or something along the lines of what we have over on my left side. Speaking of over on my left side, our storage solution is going to be provided by SanDisk. We have the Extreme 2, a very fast, very peppy SSD, 240 gigabytes here. Now this is a bit more of a high-end SSD when it comes to storage options, so if you were looking at doing this build and possibly saving a little bit, you could go with a lower capacity 120 gigabyte SSD, or if you're really trying to save some money or you really want a lot more capacity, maybe even go with a mechanical drive and then add an SSD in later on. But I always like to go with SSDs simply because they're so dang fast. Our power supply is right here. It's from Seasonic, 380 watt. This is the S12-2 bronze. It's bronze rated, so it's going to be nice and efficient. 5-year warranty from Seasonic, and it's going to work and power our system. It's going to be fantastic. And then our motherboard is over here. This is from Gigabyte, the F2A88XN-Wi-Fi. So you get lots of cool features that you might not necessarily expect on a mini ITX board, like 802.11ac Wi-Fi, ultra durable build quality, as well as, of course, the FM2 Plus socket compatibility, which is necessary for our Kaveri APU. And that's all we really need to get this build going. But we also have this right here, which we're going to be adding on, and this would be a possible upgrade for you guys. This is the Radeon R7 250, and this one will work in dual graphics compatibility along with the A10-7850k. But enough of my yapping, let's go ahead and build this system. And there you have it. The build is now complete. I'm happy to say that things went quite smoothly, so good job by the 250D here, being very easy to build in despite its small form factor. I'm going to go ahead and power the system on right over there. And there it goes. A couple points to make about this particular build if you're planning on building this build or a build similar to it at home. One would be that the motherboard has one fan header as opposed to the two fans that come in the case, at least for case fans. Motherboard has two fan headers, one for the CPU and one for case fans. So either a splitter from that single fan header would be good, or what I actually used was a Molex to 3-pin adapter. So the front fan here is just plugged straight into the power supply, which means it's going to run full speed, but it's 140 millimeters, so it's actually still very, very quiet. A couple add-ons you could potentially get for this build would be maybe a third-party CPU cooler. We went with the stock AMD one right now, which is a budget-friendly option, but there are some other options you could go with out there, especially if you wanted to overclock the CPU or the iGPU. Also, an optical drive would be an easy drop-in up in front if you still need an optical drive or want to get a Blu-ray player or something along those lines, particularly if you're doing something like this for an HTPC. And we went ahead and dropped in the R7 250 because we wanted to kind of complete the build, but it fits in there just nicely. And again, if all goes according to plan, we'll be following up in the coming weeks with another video on this build, doing a little bit of testing and also demonstrating the APU by itself, dual graphics, as well as adding a discrete graphics card that's a little bit higher quality. But that's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, we'll post links to this build down in the video description. And don't forget to hit the like button right while you're down there if you enjoy mini ITX builds like this. We'll see you all next time on Newegg TV.